Hello, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally. I hope that you are all well, and I apologize for the time change up, but it was what was going to work for our travel today. So we're kind of winding our way through a couple more stops in the U.S. So we're heading towards Dillon, Montana today, and then on to Pinehurst, Idaho. So hopefully a little bit cooler. We're currently in Salt Lake City, and I think many of you that live out west and really all over the country, we're experiencing just massive heat waves. So at any rate, that's not why you're here. Let's jump into the questions. Kathy is let's see, let me roll back up here a second. She is worrying about thunderstorms because her girls are just really hate it and freak out. And Bettina has used this canine calming loop for Murphy, and she said it was absolutely astonishing as far as the ability to keep him much calmer. If I remember correctly, she was able to keep him chilled out during the whole 4th of July. And that's so, I mean, and that was just astonishing for him. So check that out, Kathy. The other thing is, too, is just kind of calming yourself and grounding yourself, because if you stay in a place where you are worried that they are going to be freaked out and it's going to be a horrible day and all of those things, then that's going to help feed into that fear. So in the comments, I'm dropping this clear energy technique we did in Ipets Ally a few weeks ago. So I'll put that in there. And then there's a couple of other things you could look at. One is, how to build a thunderstorm proof crate. There's a lot of stuff like this out there. There's also a paper where the scientists said that you really couldn't do it. Interestingly, and I love this, so I think this is a great cottage industry for you. So Ford built this pet crate essentially for pets that are petrified of thunder and fireworks and things of that nature, but they've used their technology to help build this thing out as far as what they've figured out to do to keep pets or keep our cars quieter. So I'll drop that in there as well. Unfortunately, I think it was just an engineer's ruse or play. So they haven't actually built it, but it's a really cool thing. So, there you go. And I mean, it's crazy. So they're capturing the sound and then processing the sound waves and dampening them down. So this is really pretty cool. But there you go. There's a new cottage industry for you. And then I had a client that used these, and these are designed for dogs that fly with their people. So it's not going to completely cancel out everything, but it does evidently dampen the sound considerably. I love these pictures. And it's for a lot of these folks that fly with their dogs, it's made a big difference for them. And the dogs seem to be happy enough to wear them. So if you read through this site or the reviews, it sounds like they were using them in planes primarily, obviously, but they started the engine and the dog allowed the earmuffs to be put on pretty happily and easily. So there's some options for you. And then Kathy, as far as what else can you do medicine-wise, because it is just not fun when you've got a dog that is freaked out beyond control. And this is where I would use two strategies. One is that we would give some sort of an anti-anxiety medicine, and often that would be something like Klonopin, and also trazodone. That's the other one I was trying to think of. And then I'm trying to write those in here for you. And then if you have those two drugs on board, there were some dogs that we just had to use acepromazine on for as well. And the reason I say that it's important to have those other two medications on board is because acepromazine is a sedative. It is not an anxiety reliever, whereas these other medications are Klonopin and Trazodone. So if you have those two on board, then you're not just sedating the heck out of your dog so they just flat can't move. Because I think that really is cruel and ends up creating worse and worse and worse thunderstorm phobia. So I hope that makes sense, Kathy, and good luck with that. But yeah, I think if you've got some engineering friends, you should definitely check out the Ford Doghouse. I really love the idea of that. Now, Maya's asking about melatonin, and yeah, it's really, if you see this on the label with cofactor nutrients, yeah, Trazodone is an awesome thing, isn't it, Jamie? And Trazodone is one of those things that you try a dose and then you kind of up and up and up and figure out what it is. So if you see this on the label with cofactor nutrients, that generally means that it's going to have something else in there. So if we look at the bottle, what you've got is niacin, B6, and then magnesium. And if you're giving 1 milligram of this product, it should not be a problem. 3 to 6 milligrams, the magnesium dose is going to get up there to the point where it could potentially create some diarrhea issues. So these are okay. 250 milligrams of magnesium for a dog spirit size should not be an issue. So, but you want to find that out. You don't want to find that out the hard way. So if you haven't opened it, frankly, I'd take it back and just get a plain one. But that's where, we're oh, there's melatonin, and we grab it, but you really have to pick it up and read everything. And Janice is asking about herbal heartworm blends. And Janice, I have just never found these to be effective in the Southeast. Now, you, I think, I'm so sorry, I actually cannot remember where you are. If you go back to that American Heartworm Society map of, where's the heartworm incidence bad. So let me pop this in there. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I just have not seen herbal remedies or and I think this is the most recent one. Let's pop over here and have a look. Or homeopathic ones be sufficient to really treat heartworm. And what's happening is people are saying, oh, well, we'll just test every 6 months. And then what? And then you have a positive dog, and then what do you do? So here's what I would suggest to you. If you live in areas that have high endemic cases of heartworm disease, and I'm sorry, my internet is super slow. Let me pop back over here. So, for instance, in the South, the Southeast, these states, I would just give heartworm prevention, and I would use HeartGuard, plain HeartGuard, or Iverheart, which is actually tends to be easier to find with less stuff in it, once every 60 days. The American Heartworm Society is now saying that that is adequate. And you just have to kind of, everywhere where it's red, this is where it's going to be a big problem. Out in California, where you are, Kathy, your incidence is lower, but here's a little bubble because of the density of dogs. And what's interesting is a lot of this happened post-Katrina. If we look at, here's a map from 2016. it's changed quite a bit. And what happened is we exported dogs out of the southeast up into the northeast, and then out west. It really kind of cranked up. So if it is super dry and you're not seeing any mosquitoes, I think you are in good shape. And so, but if Janice, I think you are in Greenville, and this is really, I know you want to go as natural as possible, but a dose of an Iverheart or HeartGuard type product, the medication itself is gone within about 24 hours. And what it is doing is backtracking to kill the heartworms for the last 60 days, excuse me. And so what I would suggest is this. Use it every 60 days, 24 hours after you have given the pill. Do give some milk thistle to help clear the liver, and it is one of those things that will simply kind of be a good cleanup, so to speak, for the heartworms and for the liver itself. So I think that's been an effective strategy at that dosing. I don't understand where all of these, ivermectin is a poison and it's going to kill your dog, has come from. It just, it's been around now for 40 years. And I think honestly, if you think back to the days of having to give the heartworm pills daily, the amount of impact on your dog's system is really, really, really small. So much as I'd love to tell you there's something out there, there is just not something that works consistently, and especially for where you are, Janice. So I think this is interesting to me, is these transition maps. So here's 07, and it was worse, and then in 19 it's actually back down quite a bit. But it's just, and I think 07 was Katrina. So again, here's all the dogs we exported out from the Gulf state, and we exported heartworm with them. So that's what I know on that one. Let me pop back over to the page. And yeah, so if you're using Sentinel, that's interesting that HeartGuard was found to not be very effective here. And there was a problem for a while with resistant strains of heartworm. But again, that was sort of 3 to 4 years after Katrina, and then at least in the southeast it settled back down. But what I would do is, trust your veterinarian. Sentinel I have seen cause some immune-mediated disease and also autoimmune hemolytic anemia, so you might consider just using Interceptor, which is, so Sentinel is Interceptor, milibimycin, plus a dewormer that escapes me at the moment. So it seems that the combination of the two is what created the problem. So you might consider Interceptor as far as heartworm prevention. And not reacting is a beautiful thing. And then lastly, Susan is asking for a neurologist in the Charleston area. And Susan, I just don't have one for you. I know that the Charleston CVRC clinic was sold. I'm not sure who it got sold to, and so I'm not sure what's going on there as far as quality control. And I know that your pup had some problems with having paralysis after having had a spinal tap, and unfortunately, this is a risk with anesthesia with an animal or a person that already has a compromised disc. So there's, as far as what are you trying to get out of seeing a neurologist? Are you looking at surgery, not surgery, other devices, other options? Peter, the other guy that was there at the one in Mount Pleasant, actually moved out west, so he's not there. But let me see if I can pull this name, Wes Cook. There we go. If you look him up, he is a surgeon. He is not a neurologist, but he has been, in the past, he's been able to give as fair advice as anybody else that I know of. And so if you are out of luck as far as who can help you, go for it. And let's see, I think you may have posted this up top. Let me hit the spin it up button on Willie. It sounds like hopefully we've got a relatively smiley face, so that's encouraging. And we'll wait for this to come back up. So not much going on today. So again, next week we'll be back to our normal time, and we'll go from there. Let's see. And Jamie, I am not seeing this unless I'm being silly, which is very possible. All right. Ah, here it is. Yay! So Willie's GI system is back to normal finally. Oh, cool. So it sounds like the doxorubicin did seem to bring it under control. Yeah, Jamie, I mean... Oh, Courtney Freeman. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, you're the... Yeah, and that's who you saw for Daisy, I think, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, then you really do have to reconsider about the doxorubicin. And I would say if everything dried up on his face and fell off, that the large lesion on the side of his muzzle is also a result of the chemo. So I think if you have to look at all of the cancer lesions kind of at with the same breath, if you will, and see if we can. But I mean, it sounds like you're getting good results. So I think you're right. You know, if you get ahead of that with adsorbents, things to help coat the gut, things of that nature, I think that is pretty awesome. And, you know, I'd love to say that, golly, you can get everything healed, but Willie's face looks so much better as far as the neuropathy goes. I can still see a little bit of, you know, drop on this side, but looks like he's starting to get some temporal musculature filling back in too, which is awesome. So hooray for Mr. Willie. And it kind of does beg the idea of, do we proceed with more chemotherapy or not? And I mean, based on that response, Jamie, I think you have to consider it seriously. I know that was a miserable week for him, but golly, did he get through it. And then the other thing you can try too is the you know, doing acupuncture like the day after the chemotherapy and see if that will help bring it down. So ladies, this is what I have for you this week. I think our shipping nightmare is finally over. We have a company that we're working with now that seems to be getting it out on the double. The only downside is we cannot ship internationally, but that may come later. And for many of you, great. So Susan, I think, you know, Debbie's experience has been pretty good with Dr. Freeman, so you may check that out, although perhaps that's who you saw. At any rate, so that's what I have for you this week. Until next week, take good care, and we will see you, and give everybody a big hug and a kiss. Thanks so much. Bye.